Today's Sober Friends podcast is brought to you by Mark S. from the Recovered Cast at recoveredcast.com. Mark went to buymeacoffee.com/soberfriends, and he bought us a coffee. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. If you think it's important to spread the word to the newcomer that recovery is possible, consider buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/soberfriends. I'm Matt.
Hey, I'm Steve.
Hey, I'm John.
This is the Sober Friends podcast. We're here for the sober curious, the new guy, and the old timer. We're here to talk about the stuff anyone looking to live alcohol-free has to face day to day, and how we overcame those struggles. We speak for no 12-step group, but we do try to remain anonymous. You're not alone. This is the Sober Friends podcast. Mark's the one guy I know who's actually doing the 75 hard. So he reached out after I thanked him for a couple of donations, and he said, oh, by the way, I'm doing the 75 hard too. And some of the other people I know who were making a big deal about it already fell off. So Mark's a hardcore runner, so I think he'll make it. He's a little older than me, but some of his exercise habits, like the two of you who are also older than me, put me to shame. But Mark, thank you. Thank you for being a supporter of what we do. You're one of the big names, so it's really, really appreciated. All right, boys, my pain is your entertainment today. I got a couple things going on. One, I'm feeling burnt out. I had a visit with my therapist yesterday where I said, I don't feel depressed, but I have lost my concentration. I feel tired. I'm irritable. And she's like, oh, those are all depression things there. And then I also started thinking about, I just don't feel spiritually connected. And I'm really struggling with how do I get spiritually reconnected because I'm feeling a block. Having said that, I'm a perfectionist on everything I do. So I'm also feeling like I don't do spirituality or connecting to a higher power well at all in any way. I'm doing it awful. And I'm missing that on-ramp. And I think these are the two things that go together. You guys are really good at this, or at least I consider the two of you experts in some way. And you're wise when I come to you with these things. I have to believe our listeners have these issues too. Gosh, the higher power, what do I do? How do I connect like those people that you see in meetings who are talking about their higher power and they have that connection? How the hell do they do it? And I feel like I don't. Where do you want to jump in with this?
Take it easy, grasshopper.
I'm not good at that.
Well, get good at it.
This is a journey, and it's a journey of a lifetime. And I don't think it was ever designed to be you get sober and you've achieved your destiny and everything is great and everything is wonderful and, unicorns and rainbows fall from the sky and everything is peaches and cream. It's not like that. Life is hard. Life's tough. That's why they have helmets. They make helmets for that because it's tough. It takes, when I was still drinking, I didn't believe in anything but myself. And I still didn't feel that. I felt at that time I wasn't worthy for anything at all. And then I come into the rooms of AA and they tell me I got to believe in a power greater than myself. And then I got to make a decision to turn my life and my will over to this power greater than myself. Now, I grew up in a Catholic family. I was literally forced to go to church and catechism and everything else. And when I became a teenager and I left home and I went off go spend some time with my Uncle Sam in the U.S. Navy, I left all that stuff behind because I didn't have nothing to do with it. I get sober and now they tell me I gotta start doing this. And I wasn't bought in. I wasn't bought into it at all. And I went 5-6 years with just kind of pretending. I hadn't gotten to that point where I truly believed or I was willing to hand my decision-making process over to someone greater than me. And then that day came that I had a decision to make, drink or pick up the phone. I picked up the phone, and that's when I made the decision that I'm going to go do this stuff, and I'm going to do it thoroughly because I don't want to feel this way again. And that's 6 years in recovery. I was at the bottom of a dark well in a very low state of depression. And the only thing that got me out was to start believing in something bigger than me. And since that time, I've been on what I call a spiritual quest. My spirituality, my conception of the God of my understanding changes on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and an annual basis. It keeps on changing as I continue to change and as I continue to grow. There's no formula. There's no guideline. There's no milestones. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own journey to go on. And everybody has an opportunity to believe in what they want to believe in. And I think that was the catalyst that got Bill's attention back there in 1934 when Ebby came to visit him right after Armistice Day. And Bill was just loaded to the 3 sheets to the wind, and he was ready for a debate. And Ebby comes out, well, why don't you come up with your own conception? How do you argue with that? You can't. So this is, our 12th step says, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. Back in 1939, when Bill wrote the first book, the 12th step had said, having had a spiritual experience. In 1955, when the second edition came out, Bill changed it from spiritual experience to spiritual awakening because they were real big into William James. And there was that, the educational variety, spiritual awakening was the educational variety because, we got bigger, we got stronger, we got healthier, we got closer to the God of our understanding a little bit over time, to the point to where people around us notice it before we could too. There's a lot of, Bill had a lot of insight into this, but I'm kind of guessing there was a lot of divine intervention going on there to kind of direct him in the way that he was going, so that he could make it in simple enough terms and free enough terms and open enough terms that the alcoholic that is restless, irritable, discontent, angry, depressed, everything, and just downright spiteful and doesn't want to have anything to do with God could swallow just a little bit. How does that happen? I don't think it happens by accident.
No, it's hard to say it comes up by accident. That there was nothing for alcoholics forever, and right during the Great Depression, this comes about, and Bill has this, that. I think a lot of this has come up in my mind because I listened to another podcast, and they had on Paul Schultz. I think it's Schulte. This guy just wrote a book about William James. He is one of us, and he wrote about William James and talked about how we agnostics, that's the name of the book. And his point is everybody's an agnostic because you don't know for certain. And a lot of the William James stuff has been coming up in my life recently. Is Monday. We went over the first chapter and went to the William James passage in Appendix 2. So sometimes this stuff is coming to me when I need it, especially when I start seeing a lot of like the William James stuff. But I struggle sometimes still with the on-ramp there. And sometimes I feel like a fraud that I have a decent amount of sobriety. I see new people in there and I'm talking the talk, but am I totally bought in there? And I'm not feeling it the same way other people are.
Yeah, I would question where is your on-ramp taking you? This is an interesting topic. I spent probably a good 20 minutes on the phone today with one of my sponsees, and we talk almost daily. And he mentioned to me that he was feeling this tug to start reading more of the Bible, which is what he was brought up in, and he's trying to find a better, like you, Matt. He was saying, I trying to find this better connection, right? He's been having a little bit of trouble staying sober, and he's like, I feel like I dump my higher power just when I need my higher power. That's what he was saying. So he's doing this, and I said to him, if you're feeling a tug, you better investigate that tug, right? Doesn't mean you have to follow. Doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up. But I told him, like, I would don't dismiss it. Investigate it. Follow that tug. See where it leads you. And so we spent a lot of time talking about that. And that same thing is happening to me right now in a different way. I hope I'm coming out of it. I'm not sure. I hope I'm coming out of a several month downslide of everything, not just spirituality, but certainly my spirituality and my health. And some of that's just a winter, right? Just not as physically active, some of that, right? All that kind of stuff. It's a seasonal thing for me that I finally realized. And I realized, like, I got to do something different. And just this week, I decided I don't pray on my knees. So usually I pray. I get up. Sometimes I'll do it sitting on the side of my bed, but mostly I've been doing it at the kitchen table. I get up, do some things with the dog, get myself a cup of coffee. I sat down, do it. This week I just said, something? Before I even leave my bedroom, I'm going to hit my knees and I'm going to pray. And that's just to sort of kickstart me, right? That's all that is. It's just a kickstart. I'm going to do something different and see how that feels. I have no idea how long it'll last. Maybe it'll last forever for the rest of my life. Maybe I won't finish the week out. But I would agree with one thing that John was saying is that I don't know exactly, how you feel about your spirituality or how you look at it. I know you're brought up like me. You're brought up Christian, those type of things. But I look at my spirituality now very differently. I look at it as absolutely a journey. Absolutely. I have no doors closed when I search for God, right? And that's what I call my higher power is God. And so I have no doors closed. And I've talked about it on this podcast. I've talked about it with you guys. I've done a lot of Buddhist readings, a lot of stuff like that. I've done some other stuff. And now, I just finished up a huge book on the writing of the big book. I'm starting to feel this tug for myself. And I told that to my sponsee. I was talking, I have this tug going on myself. I have no idea where it's going to take me. But I'm going to let it take me wherever it goes. So, and I think I think we all have to be willing. One of the things you said, Matt, you said both of these things go together. Well, I think you said three things there. Something, you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling disconnected, and I'm a perfectionist. Right? And, so I really think that if you're going to spend some time, it might be good to spend some time on easing up on that perfectionism stuff, right? And that you may find that if you ease up on that a little bit, your connection is not as bad as you think it might be, right? Your connection might be a lot better. The other
that I believe.
So your connection is probably a lot better than you think. And the other thing you said is the typical thing we all do. We all do. You sat in a meeting or you sit in a meeting and you compare other people's outsides to your insides. Oh, look at that person. He's got a great connection to his higher power just because he's talking about it and he's sharing about it. So we can all talk and share a story and make it feel like a lot different than it really feels.
Yeah,
inside.
we're alcoholics, and we can. I'm looking for that frame. We can tell a yarn or
yeah, right.
Spin a yarn. We
Spin
can
a yarn.
Spin a yarn.
When you've been around a little bit or even a long time, you've heard the lingo, you've heard what people want to hear and there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that like to hear themselves talk, and they and they memorize things and they memorize passages and sayings and they can do all kinds of stuff, and they do it because it's a stroke to their ego. They want other people to say, wow, that was great. Oh, I really love what you have to say. And it builds them up. And there's people that, very wise people, very, very knowledgeable, that just kind of sit there in a corner and they really don't say much. But when they do, they get your attention and you listen, because what comes out of their mouth is usually speaks truth in volumes.
Yeah, the other thing I think people do, and I know I do it too, sometimes we talk to try to convince ourselves of where we want to be. Like sometimes it's not so much that people want to hear themselves, but they're trying to, if they say it out loud, just like you always say, Matt, once you said you're an alcoholic, like you have to own it. It's the same thing when people say, if I say this about my higher power, then maybe I need to own that. Maybe I need to live that. So, and I think we do that. It's sort of like talking ourselves up for our own confidence, right? Of course, there's people out there who love to hear themselves talk, and listen, I can get sucked into that road too. But there's a lot to it. It's a journey. It's a journey, and for me, I have found it to be a fantastic journey. And I told my wife today, we're sitting down having some breakfast, and I said, I'm teaching myself to read. And she looked at me kind of funny, and I'm like, not read, right? I know how to read, but I'm teaching myself how to read a book. Like, all I do is read books. I read books alcoholically right now. Yeah, right now, I just read books alcoholically. And I went up and picked up a book, and I picked up a book on addiction today from the library, and cause I finished my last book, and it's like, okay, I need something to read. It's like being out of a bottle. I finished my bottle. I need to go get another bottle. So the book I picked up today was about addiction, not about alcoholism, but about addiction, because everything I do sort of in addictive mannerisms.
I do this with podcasts. There are so many podcasts that I listen to that I get stressed about the fact that I can't get to them all. I'm like rotating in, rotating out, because there's one that I listen to that each episode is about 8 hours, and they usually do a 2-parter each week. Like, these guys are completely insane. But I'm trying to fit that in, and then there's news ones, and then there's AA ones and recovery ones, and I get stressed because how am I going to get through all of these? This is where I'm sick.
You can't.
I listen to a couple of recovery-based podcasts. I don't listen to the radio anymore. I listen to,
oh, please don't.
I review ours every week because I want to hear how it comes out. Because I'm curious. I listen to another one, and it's okay. I'm kind of prejudiced because I don't think it's as good as ours. But we have a unique platform. It's different, and it's what we like. But then the other podcasts I listen to, they're all based upon either something history-based or archaeology-based. Not a lot. There's a couple of podcasts I listen to that are done by outdoors people that are very good, but they tie in educational stuff into what they love to do, is to hunt and fish. But they did one on Folsom and Clovis Points, brought on archaeologists, and 6-part series, and very in-depth. And I find it stimulating to my brain. I've also discovered that, for me, there's a balance between being in recovery and putting the amount of work that I need to in order for me to keep moving forward, and too much. Like anything else in my life, once I get focused on something, I can go all or nothing on whatever. And I get hyper focused on something that I got to have more and 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 more, to the point where I just go, and I got to stop. And I've done that. My wife says I'm doing it with working out. I don't think so. I'm doing it to stay healthy and be able to move and keep up with the old fart on the screen here.
It can be both, though. Yeah. It is definitely a new interest of yours. It's been a pretty big
last
focus
couple of years.
last couple years.
Yeah, because I'm not as young as I used to be. And
I've seen your belly get small, your belly get big. I haven't seen that go back and forth in a couple of years. Like you made a decision when the belly's going away.
Well, when you invest $10,000-$12,000 on a hunt up to Newfoundland for a week, you do what you have to do and you make, and when I got back, within a month, I could start to feel achiness and everything else. And it's like, I don't like to feel this way. It's like everything else when I've made a significant change in my life, it's all based upon how bad do I feel. And I don't want to feel this way again. I got sober the first time because I didn't want to feel this way again. I went through the steps, extremely thorough, 6 years in recovery because I didn't want to feel this way again. Almost every pivotal point in my recovery, almost every significant change in my life was all based upon I don't want to feel this way again. Pain is the world's best motivator. And for me, it makes me to do the changes that sometimes that I don't want to do, or it makes me do the changes that I need to do. My focus today is on a healthy life so I can enjoy my golden years doing what I love to do the most, being outside and participating in this beautiful playground called Earth. And that's my motivation. And I can overdo it with exercise too. I can get too focused on it because I want to get too strong. I want to be able to do this. I want to do that. And I get alcoholically about that. But I recognize it and I can pull myself back before it starts to get out of control. And I also have mamas in the background saying, bip, 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 bip. And I have to listen because she's the outsider looking in, and she's one of my spirit guys.
She's pretty smart.
Yeah,
she's pretty smart. So I'm realizing as well, having gone through this, that there's a couple things that I think were aha moments that rocked me a little bit. We went out to dinner on Saturday night. We don't go to restaurants very often, and the restaurant we went to was pretty packed. And they seated us back to the bar. Not that the bar was an issue, but there was just a lot of people back there. And there was this inherent feeling in me that I don't want to be near anyone, that it feels like being around people is unsafe. Like, there's a person near me. Are they too close to me? And I still had, a mask on, but you got to take the mask off at dinner. And there's this feeling of it's unsafe that I'm around other people, even though I've had 3 shots. I wear a mask, but I don't even think it's rational anymore. It's become an innate thing of you're too close. Going to the meeting on Monday, I'm noticing the people are starting to come back to these in-person meetings, including somebody who used to go to the Monday night meeting before I got there, and this person showed up, and they don't have a lot of sobriety now. And man, did they look like crap. And that was unnerving. And I think just in general, all of the COVID stuff is just starting to get to me after 2 years. You're in this for this long, and it's just starting to get to the point of I'm tired of looking over my shoulder if I'm indoors and people are too close. I think there's a lot of that's becoming unnerving, and it makes me think about the spiritual stuff. I'm not normally somebody who gets on my knees to do it, and I feel silly doing it. And I think to break up the chain, I think it would be good to get out of bed and get on my knees, even if it's just good morning, God.
Yes, and an old timer, Lonnie, he got up and he said, good morning, God, instead of good God, it's morning. No, Frank got it from Lonnie because Pete Meekin was Frank's first sponsor, and Pete Meekin and Lonnie were buddies. He's going back a long, long time ago, but that was a lot. Lonnie, he's like Tony Loop with his opening thing, and Lonnie always came up with, I woke up this morning and I said, good morning, God, instead of good God, it's morning. And I always remember stuff like that. It just kind of sticks. I was going somewhere with that, and I can't, now I lost my train of thought because I was reminiscing on old times.
Yeah. But Matt, it does, there's a lot going on, right? This whole COVID thing, and I know you've been concerned about COVID from the beginning, and you have young children at home and all those type of things. And I think it's what everybody else feels. I'm like you. I've got my 3 shots. I have I'm married to somebody who's immune compromised, so I have that concern. But I've just decided that I'm not just. It's just one of those things, and this is just me. But I just decided I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to wear my mask. We're still not doing a lot of things we used to do. We used to have season tickets to, a theater. We're not doing that. We're not going to movies anymore. We're not doing a lot of things, but we will go out to dinner. And I will only sit in a place that's reasonably spaced. If I walk in there and it's too packed and I'm too close, open table, I want a booth or something that has some guide, we'll take some precautions. But I just decided that, listen, I'm gonna live my life and I'm gonna move on. And I do think it sounds like you are burnt out more than anything. Sounds like you got a lot going on. I know I got rid of a lot of my podcasts and I focus on just a few of them now because same thing. I couldn't get to them all, right? And I like them all. That's the whole point. I like them all. But I just only have so many hours in a week that I can listen to podcasts. So right now I do some recovery and I do a news and I've fallen in love with Sarah Silverman. So, I listen to her podcasts, but she's once a week, and so that's what I do now. And then that'll change too. I'll switch off somewhere down the road. But yeah, loosen up, take some weight out of your bag, and loosen up a little bit. I think that'll go far with you. I really do.
Yeah, I think loosening up is very important advice. Terrible at that. I have a subscription to a 2-month free trial for the Peloton web service, which I think I'm going to keep when it is up because I struggle. I'm going on a tangent, but I struggle with them not making money. That Peloton for $12.99 service has to be like 100% profit because they're not. What the hell are you spending?
The benefit you're getting,
but I look at that,
the benefit you're getting from that service far outweighs any thinking about how much money they're making. Are they making a bloody fortune? Absolutely. But you can't think about that if you've got the subscription and you're getting on the bike and you're spending 10, 15, 20. There's all kinds of stuff on there that you don't have to cycle. You can stretch, you can yoga, you can do everything. You can do 10
minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm bad. And I'm all or nothing on this. I've got
You're not the only one.
It was enough for me to find the semi-beginner workout that I did, thinking, all right, I'm going to settle down. Yeah. I still kick my ass.
You don't, just because they're saying, 40 to 50%, their 50% is a lot different than what your 40% is. That's why I use heart rate monitors because it tells me what my level of exertion is. I remember what I was going to say, circling back to, that I don't know who it was that came in and they had gone out to do some more research. They are the most valuable people in recovery because we got the opportunity to see them sober or soberish, month, 2 months, 6 months, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, however long they were out for. We saw them what they looked like when they were clean and sober. And now we're seeing them when they come back after some more research and they look like crap. It doesn't look good, and it normally doesn't. And I need to see that, particularly if I know the person and I see him and it's like, there, but for the grace of God, go I. That's worth all the tea in China.
Come see us on Monday night sometime and you'll see it. Yeah.
This would be a good Monday for you to come.
What's that, at 8 to 9?
7:30,
8:30.
Oh, this.
But anyway,
you can get some heavy metal. I
just thought about that. I just thought about that. Thank you for remembering.
It's a big number, so we'll get change.
Yeah, 30 days. Who'd have thought I could make 30 days?
Yeah. We'll give you a handful of those 30-day coins. Bring in a sack.
That's it. We'll give you a bucket of 30-day coins. That'd be an interesting way to give somebody coins. But yeah, those people are important, and who knows if this person will stay or go. It's not up to me anyway. But I agree. And what we are seeing is it's obvious right now. My Friday night meeting, we got new guys coming in. And this Monday night meeting now, we got new people coming in. New people are starting to come in. I mean, COVID has done its thing. And this guy that we're referencing was out before COVID. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Listen, it's out there for me. I don't run from the fact that I'm not immune to picking up another drink. Right. It's the farthest thing from my mind. Like, it's not even a thing. I can't even tell you that I think about it, because I don't. But I still doesn't mean I know I'm not immune to it, because I know I'm not immune to it. I see these people and I just go, yeah, but for the grace of God. So it's always good to see them. It's always good to catch up to sponsees. I had another sponsee, he called me up and he was in the area. Somebody I hadn't seen in a while. Hey, you around? I'm in the area. Stopped by, had a cup of coffee. And so it's always good to do that stuff. Talk to them, see what people are doing, catch up. Yep, and have that new person come in. I hope we see this person again. I hope he comes in. I hope he'll raise his hand, and open his mouth, and tell us what it was like out there. Because that's what we need him to say.
I need the reminder.
Yeah, me too. So
yeah, part of this is control as well. That I'm not in control with a lot of this stuff of either other people wearing or not wearing masks, or the virus going up or virus going down. Another trigger is tomorrow night is the first district meeting in person at a new place.
Not at the bar?
No, we stopped doing it at the bar. So for those who don't live in Middle Connecticut, we used to do our district meeting, which is the districts in our area got together, and people who are GSRs who represent their meetings, we'd have this monthly meeting, and we literally had it above a bowling alley and next to a bar. So there's a common bathroom that you would be meeting the drunks. And this bar, this is not a classy operation, this bar. These are people who are there for singleness. They have a singleness of purpose.
They do.
They have a desire to drink. So we moved it to the church where we have our Monday meeting, because it has Wi-Fi. And the church is really good to us. But I'm realizing there's probably going to be a lot of people there. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, I'll probably be the one person with the really good mask, but I'm thinking I got to be careful. And I'm stepping away from that commitment. Now that I have agreed to take a different commitment, and I got to give up the one I have, once I do that, I go from being really involved to get this off my hands now. I've made my decision. I don't want to do this anymore, because I want to give the group level my full attention, and I feel like it's diverted.
Right. What position did you take this time?
I took the treasurer position at the group, so out of district completely at the Monday night. So I'm going from the district treasurer to the group treasurer.
The group. Okay, so so Monday night big book meeting treasurer. Okay, so you're stepping down out of district and area. Oh, okay, good for you.
Yes, yeah. I'm on year 3 of my 2-year commitment.
Yeah, this is not your first commitment. You've done your time.
Yeah,
I've been in district almost my entire time in sobriety.
Yeah, it's probably.
But it's not one of those commitments that I can really just step away and say, "Here, you take it," because.
It's like they say, 10% of the people do 100% of the work. And I think it's even less than that.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, I hope you're feeling better.
I feel a lot better. I knew that my problem would be somebody else's problem, and I would be very honest about what my problem is.
Yeah.
And when you talk about it with people you trust, you'll feel better.
That's the way it works.
I knew it wasn't super severe. I just wasn't feeling great. I like to get this off my chest before it becomes a big thing. I don't want to be like that guy who's coming back after COVID because he didn't come around and he drank. That's a scary thing for me.
For all of us.
Yep. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this program. I hope you could identify with some of this stuff. If you like it, the best thing you can do to support the program is to share it with somebody that you think would enjoy it and would be helpful. Give us a review on iTunes. Give us a rating on Spotify, wherever you're looking. You can find us. You know where to find us. SoberFriendsPod.com. Everything says that. With that, We are out.
Night.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
You made it this far into the podcast. That tells me you're a pretty big fan. If you like what we do and you find value in the podcast, consider a donation at buymeacoffee.com/soberfriendspod. Your donation keeps us on the air to help out the new guy and helps us defray some of our costs. If you find value in our podcast, please consider a donation at buymeacoffee.com/soberfriendspod.